Grabe naman yung fast talk. Hindi ko nakayanan yung fast talk. Shock pa ako, shockers. Grabe, grabe. Kasi nung kagabi si Bongbong medyo ano siya eh, pa-diplomatic siya eh. Ito talaga si VP Leni, my goodness, talagang pinatulan niya talaga yung fast talk about other candidates. Did she say sinungaling? Yung ba yung sinabi niya? Sinabi ba niya na sinungaling yung isang candidate kaya dapat di bobotohin? Tapos yung sa isa naman sabi niya hindi klaro sa kanyang conviction sa buhay. Nako po, marupok. Tapos yung isa naman daw magaling magsalita pero hindi na-implement. Tapos yung kay Manny, sabi niya? Parang hindi sapat yung good intention, parang ganon. Masakit. Grabe naman yung ni VP Leni kasi medyo na-shock ako. Parang out of nowhere yun. Kasi tingnan mo naman yung demeanor ni VP Leni, yung very nice, gano'n naman, as usual, di ba? Yung, alam naman natin, kaya biglang nag-next level siya doon sa fast talk, talagang, ay, sinungaling yan, wag nang botohin yan. Tapos, ay, ano yan, walang conviction yan. Ay, ano yan, puro salita lang yan. Ay, ano yan, hanggang intention. Masakit, grabe, grabe. Grabe yung yung ginawa ni Leni. In fairness, I was like, that came out of nowhere, as in, shockers, no? So, siguro, alam mo kung gano'n, dapat nauna si Leni, tapos sinabihan yung ibang candidates na ginanon kayo. Para yung ibang candidates, hindi na rin diplomatic all the way in, no? But, for me, it gives you a flavor of anong pwedeng mangyari dun sa mga COMELEC commission debates. Nako po, sinungaling, corrupt, yung mga yan, lalabas na yan. So, for me, yun ang parang, buti nga hinintay ko talaga hanggang dulo eh. Kasi, sabi ko, okay, this is the usual, polite, composed, ni Leni, demeanor, and then biglang sinungaling talaga. Yung grabe talagang sinabi ni Leni. Ibang klase, as in, marupok yung comments niya doon sa iba. Diba? Akala ko pa naman friendship sila. Naku, mahirap team up yan mamaya dun sa iba. Masakit yung sinabi niya. Honestly, medyo out of character for me yan, ha? But, I mean, like, it's interesting, it's entertaining, but, yun nga, shock pa rin ako. Now, let's go to the substantive analysis ng etong talk na ito. Well, in a way, parang napansin ko, Tito Boy was a little bit more entering the discussion, at least on some of the questions I saw. I don't know, parang feeling ko dun sa isang candidate parang more binigyan ng chance to explain. Pero yung kay Leni parang medyo pumapasok siya. No? So, all love, Tito Boy. I think you've done a fantastic job. I've told you that. I've been saying that na magaling ka. Yun lang, parang napansin ko medyo nag-enter siya. I don't even use the word interject, but may pagkaganon. But anyways, kasi yung kay Bongbong, talagang he was given a chance to properly explain itself. So yun lang, medyo more aggressive si Tito Boy. Now, I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying napansin ko yan. Now, I don't know what's the reason. I'll ask him siguro. Pero na-explain. Pero yun lang napansin ko, no? Na medyo compared dun sa isa. Now, you could say that's good kasi na-encourage na more back and forth, no? And I think medyo pinush si Leni to, hindi lang to be nice, but talaga go all the way, no? In terms of explaining things, no? Now, let me first start with areas where I think I like. I do like yung mga sagot ni VP Leni in a way that reassuring ito. If naging presidente itong tao to, parang okay, that was very reassuring. I'm glad to have heard of that. A second. Wait lang. Okay, let's go. Number 1. Ang pinakagusto ko sa mga sagot niya, which was actually my primary concern with the interview yesterday, was yung sagot niya on the West Philippine Sea issue. Salamat! At least, minention ni Leni na unang-una, there is a problem with framing the issue as a question of war. In fact, to be honest, dun sa lahat ng tanong ni Tito Boy, ito yung pinaka hindi ko parang nag-gets na parang, why would you even frame yung issue ng West Philippine Sea as war? As if naman, di ba? When was the last time China went to war with the country? Yung full-fledged war was what? 1979 with Vietnam. And partial war, Johnson South Reef, 1988. So, since the end of Cold War, China has not engaged in a direct armed confrontation with any country in any serious sense of the word. Si Pinoy na nga dinala niya yung China sa international court. May war ba? Wala. So, the framing is problematic to me. The framing is problematic to me. Sana yung tanong ay hindi ganun, na parang, ang tanong more is like, how do we best defend our interests and sovereign rights sa West Philippine Sea? Yun dapat ang tanong. Yung parang kaagad, can we afford a defensive war? Parang ano yun? Because China is not, China is not even in a war mode. In fact, the moment there'll be a war between China and the smaller countries, anong mangyari dyan? Di sirang-sira ang China, maging mukhang bully sila na big time, di yung mga ibang bansa, doon na sila sa US. There are costs for China, no? There are costs for China. But anyways, nagustuhan ko yung sagot ni Lenny kasi yun nga, first of all, sinabi niya, oh wait, chill lang tayo, bakit war ang pinag-usapan? Ang issue dito, and this is Geopolitics 101, ang issue dito is, how do you leverage your existing assets para madepensahan yung interest mo, no? So in this case, we have alliances. Good, at least na-mention na meron tayong alliances. Are they perfect? Of course not. Do we have shared interests sa West Philippine Sea, South China Sea? Yes, we have. Alliances is about how do you work together yung sa areas na may shared interest kayo. So clearly, whether it's US, whether it's Japan, whether it's Australia, I could even add India and Britain into the issue, lahat sila may interest na hindi masakop ng China yung South China Sea, no? At hindi magiging Chinese lake ito, no? As one official put it, no country should have sole control over the West Philippine Sea or South China Sea in particular, no? So all countries share an interest in that, probably with the exception of China because they believe parang this is their blue national soil. So yun, common sense, how do you leverage it? How do you also leverage yung arbitration award natin? Again, sana, I was hoping na medyo, remember, hindi ICJ ang issue dito. This was not an arbitration case that required consent of both parties kasi hindi naman ito pumunta sa International Court of Justice, no? Doon, kasi ang usapan is sovereignty, kailangan talaga ng consent yan. In fact, even the Philippines during era, punta kayo sa site ng International Court of Justice, even the Philippines expressed reservations on the issue of international arbitration vis-a-vis sovereignty disputes. So, ang issue talaga dito sa compulsory arbitration, Article 287, was maritime entitlement claims. In short, yung sinasabi ng China na 9-dash line, sakop niya yung halos 85% ng South China Sea at parts of West Philippine Sea, at sinasabi niya, lahat ng mga resources dyan, these are part of our blah 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 historic rights, ganun. Yan ang na-reject ng court. So, in effect, na-affirm yung ating exclusive economic zone. Exclusive economic zone. Katulad ng relasyon, pag nag-exclusive kayo, hindi na pwede open-open, di ba? Exclusive di ba? So, tayo lang may karapatan na mag-develop ng yung seabed resources, yung fishing resources, etc. Yan po ay na-confirm ng arbitration award. Not to mention na censure yung ecological damage na cause ng China at yung mga military harassment niya ginawa sa atin sa Scarborough Shoal. So yun, basahin. No? So this is a compulsory arbitration under Article 287 Annex 7 of the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea, right? Hindi ito ICJ. For heaven's sake, for how many times should we explain this to people? But anyways, buti na mention ni Lenny na pwede naman i-leverage yan. In what sense? Obviously, yung arbitration na yan ay yan ang ginagamit po ng US at yung iba't ibang bansa to do what they call freedom of navigation operations. Ano po itong FONOPS? Ito ay isang sitwasyon kung saan yung mga American warships na napakalaki, minsan doble-doble, pumapasok dun sa territorial sea ng mga fake islands na ginawa ng China sa Panganiban, etc. At sinasabi nila, hindi namin nire-recognize yung claims nyo. Guess what is their legal basis? The arbitration award. Now, US, yung Senate nila, may mga pasaway na Republicans dyan, hindi na-ratify yung UNCLOS. But, the US Navy and Armed Forces observe the relevant provisions of UNCLOS as customary international law. Contrast that to China, which actually has ratified it, membro na siya, full-fledged, pero tignan mo naman yung compliance level. So, again, let's be very clear about this kasi may mga bloggers, may mga may biglang naging attorney yung iba na naging eksperto na iba sa UNCLOS. My goodness naman, di ba? Let's look at the nitty-gritties at depensahan mo naman yung international law kung it's serving you. Huwag mong i-undermine yung international law or i-dismiss yan, di ba? At huwag natin pag-usapan yung issue ng war. So in short, in fairness kay VP Lenny, and then yung sa dulo, medyo minention din niya, yung kailangan natin palakasin yung kakayahan natin. As I said, obviously, this is not about matching China. There's just no way any one of us in the region, Southeast Asia, can match them. But that's not the point. The point is to become what Lee Kuan Yew said, we have to become a poison shrimp. Para yung bigger fish, they won't bite us because alam nila ma-poison sila. Yes, kaya nila tayo, pero ma-poison sila. Or, as we mentioned, to be a porcupine, no? Porcupine, para kung kinagat tayo, kayong medyo ma-hurt dyan, di ba? And we can still survive it. Kaya it's all about minimum deterrence capability. So, in fairness to Leni, I think she came quite strong on that point. Now, it's also interesting that doon sa issue ng ICC kay Tatay Digong, she didn't say na kailangang ipakulong si Tatay Digong because, you know, as a lawyer, I think as any Democrat, you have to follow due process. But she recognized na kailangan ng international investigation, etc. kung there is an indication that domestic courts or judicial institutions are not up to the task for whatever reason, no? So, interesting. Yes, but with a caveat in terms of in terms of ICC investigation. I think that was a good answer. I think that was a good answer. It was a lawyerly answer in the sense that you emphasize the rule of law and due process for anyone, whether it's Tatay Digong or anyone ordinary Filipino among other things. So yun, I think I like that. Yeah, so yung fast talk, grabe, biglang, wow, marupok, di ba? And then, next level, di ba? Hindi ko nakayanan. Maganda yung sagot sa West Philippines. I really like that. Not because it's Leni per se. I mean, anyone saying those things, common sense yan for anyone who understands geopolitics at may konting patriotism, no? Common sense yan. Na minention yan. I'm glad na minention yan. And then, of course, now, let's go to the other parts na parang hindi ako 100% na parang, Okay, so for instance,